Welcome to the Get Wisdom podcast, and a warm welcome to you, our listeners.
Yeah, welcome. And especially for you folks maybe looking for a new way to do life or trying to figure out how to get unstuck somewhere. Maybe you just need a new perspective on things. We can definitely assist with that. Check us out over at www.getwisdom.cc.
I'm Miranda.
And I'm Jay. Today, we're diving into a white paper by Brent Ziemann. Our goal here is really to give you some actionable insights, things you can use, like right away to start transforming your life.
Absolutely. We're focusing on one, a pretty compelling argument from this paper, that the fastest, most thorough way to level up your life, it's by leveling up how you communicate, specifically across 4 key dimensions.
Right. And the paper makes this really bold claim, almost mathematical sounding,
Yeah.
that the quality of your life is always in direct proportion to the quality of your communication.
That's a huge idea to unpack, isn't it?
It really is. Because most people, they hear communication, they think maybe public speaking or writing emails clearly. But this paper, it goes way deeper. It frames communication as like the basic operating system for our lives.
Okay, so what are these dimensions we're talking about?
Well, we're going to look at 4 core areas. First, the foundation. Internal communication, that's the chat inside your own head. Then vertical communication, think alignment with purpose, maybe with God for some. Then horizontal communication, which is, talking with others. And finally, the new kid on the block, communication with technology, especially AI.
Okay, let's start right at the bottom then. The foundation, internal communication. This is literally the conversation you're having with yourself, like right this second.
Exactly. And the paper argues something pretty shocking here. The stories we tell ourselves over and over, they actually become the belief systems that shape our outcomes.
So a belief is just a story about what we expect to happen.
Pretty much. And what's kind of scary is how passive we often are about it. We let these maybe negative narratives run on repeat in our heads. Things like, oh, I'm not smart enough, or I always mess this up.
And then we wonder why our lives seem to mirror those exact stories.
Right. We're surprised when the outside world reflects that internal script we wrote ourselves. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy in many ways.
Okay, let's get specific though. The paper mentions certain words that actively weaken our belief. Words like try or maybe. Why are those little words so damaging?
Well, think about it. When you say, I'll try to get that done, what are you really signaling?
That I might not succeed. That failure is an option.
Exactly. You've basically built yourself an escape hatch.
Yeah.
You've told your brain, hey, failure's okay here, maybe even expected. It removes the commitment.
Whereas saying, I will do this or I am doing this, that closes the escape hatch.
Precisely. It forces full psychological buy-in. We have to commit internally first, right? Before the action can really take root and succeed externally. It's about commitment psychology.
So this reframes internal talk. It's not just positive thinking fluff. It's like structural engineering for your future self. If the words are the blueprints.
Then you need good blueprints, which leads to the first actionable insight. The paper suggests a kind of internal audit.
Okay, what does that look like?
It recommends taking 1 week, just 7 days, and becoming really aware, like an eavesdropper on your own thoughts. Audit your internal dialogue for 1 week.
And what do you do during this audit?
Every time you catch yourself using a weakening word like try, you consciously replace it with do or will. And this is important. Every time you catch a negative label, I'm so stupid, I'm lazy, replace it.
Replace it with what, though? Just saying I'm brilliant if I feel stupid seems, fake.
That's a fair point. It's not about delusion. It's about accuracy and being constructive. So instead of I'm stupid, maybe it's, okay, I'm finding this concept challenging or I am capable of learning this. Instead of I'm lazy, maybe I need to focus my energy on this task now. See the difference?
Yeah, one is a dead end, the other points towards action or learning. It's empowering, but realistic.
Exactly. It aligns the internal story with a productive expectation. Not fantasy, just productive possibility.
Okay, and that word expectation feels really key here. The paper calls expectation our greatest superpower. How does that connect back to the internal dialogue?
It connects directly. If you control the internal story, you essentially get to control what you expect to happen. And that expectation, that's what drives your actions or lack of action.
Ah, okay. So this framework can help us understand things like anxiety and procrastination differently.
Absolutely. The paper offers really clear definitions. Anxiety, for instance, isn't presented as some deep character flaw. It's simply the feeling that pops up when you expect an unfavorable outcome.
So if my internal story before a big presentation is, I'm going to bomb this, The anxiety, I feel, is just my body reacting to that expected negative results.
Precisely. Your system is bracing for the failure you've told it is coming.
And procrastination, how does that fit in?
It's often a direct symptom of that anxiety. It's not just laziness, it's a coping mechanism. You're trying to delay or avoid the unpleasant feeling tied to that expected failure.
The paper used an analogy, didn't it? Something about a chair.
Yeah, the wobbly chair analogy. You won't put your full weight on a chair if you expect one of its legs is broken, right? You'll hesitate, hold back.
So if our internal dialogue predicts instability or failure, we naturally hold back from taking action. We procrastinate.
Exactly. We're waiting, consciously or not, for a narrative, an expectation that feels stable enough to support the action.
Wow. Okay, so we're not necessarily lazy, we're just waiting for a better internal story. That's insightful. So how do we actively use this? How do we strengthen belief and expectation through better internal talk?
Well, here's the second actionable insight focused right on this. Identify one recurring anxiety, something that keeps popping up.
Okay, got one in mind, then what?
Then you consciously rewrite the story you tell yourself about it.
Yeah.
Turn it from a narrative of fear or failure into one that supports confidence and forward movement.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Let's say you have anxiety about public speaking. The old story might be, I always freeze up, people will judge me. The rewritten story could be, I am well prepared, I know my material, and I focus on delivering value to the audience. It shifts the expectation.
Which then reduces the anxiety.
And hopefully reduces the urge to procrastinate on preparing or doing it. You change the story, you change the feeling, you unlock the action.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so that covers the internal foundation pretty thoroughly. Let's pivot now to the external stuff, starting with what the paper calls vertical communication, communication with God. What does that mean in this practical life skills context?
Yeah, the paper uses God, but the principle is broader. It's about connecting with your highest sense of purpose, your core values, a guiding spiritual or moral framework, whatever that is for you. It's about alignment.
Alignment with what?
Alignment with that higher intention or set of principles. And here's the key distinction the paper makes. This kind of communication, like prayer or reflecting on scripture or values, isn't about trying to convince God or the universe to do what you want.
Okay, so it's not a cosmic vending machine request.
Exactly. It's more about practices that bring you into tune with that higher intention. It's about finding clarity and purpose within that larger framework.
So it shifts it from being just a ritual to being more of a strategic practice for grounding yourself and getting clear.
Precisely. It helps anchor your actions. When you're aligned, decisions can become clearer because you're filtering them through that core framework, that sense of purpose.
Okay, so what's the actionable piece here? How do we practice this alignment?
It's about embodying it. The task is choose one verse or promise from scripture or one core personal value. For the next 7 days, consciously let your actions reflect that principle as if it were already fully true in your life.
So you're communicating your belief through doing, not just thinking or saying.
You got it. Living the alignment.
All right. Moving outwards again, let's talk horizontal communication. This is the big one for everyday life, right? Communicating with other people, relationships, work, business.
Absolutely fundamental. And the big idea here, according to the paper, is shifting your focus from transaction to transformation.
Transaction versus transformation. What's the difference in a conversation?
Well, a transactional approach is basically, what can I get out of this interaction? What's in it for me? Very self-focused.
Okay, seems pretty common.
It is. But the most effective communicators, the paper argues, operate differently. They have a transformational mindset, which is service-centered. They focus on, how can I provide value to the other person in this interaction? How can their experience be improved by engaging with me?
That sounds nice, but how does focusing on the other person actually help me succeed? Seems a bit counterintuitive, maybe in business.
It does seem counterintuitive at first, but think about the long game. Influence. Trust. If every time someone talks to you, they walk away feeling genuinely heard, understood, maybe helped, what happens?
They'll probably like me more, trust me more, maybe want to work with me or help me out later.
Exactly. Influence and opportunity multiply. You build relational capital by giving value, not by trying to extract it in every single exchange. When your communication aims to serve or transform the other person's experience, your own influence grows almost automatically.
Okay, I see the logic. It's about building bridges, not just making deals. How do we consciously practice this transformational approach?
There's a very practical, almost pre-conversation ritual suggested. Before any significant conversation, a meeting, a difficult talk, even an important email, take 2 minutes, just 2 minutes,
2 minutes to do what?
to consciously consider how does making this conversation about the other person benefit them? And then think about how that ultimately benefits you. It forces you to strategize value for them up front.
So you walk in already focused on delivering value. That's a powerful shift. Okay, final dimension, communication with technology, the AI frontier. This feels very current.
It is, and it's a fascinating test of everything we've just discussed. The paper argues that our ability to get results from AI, for example, is really limited only by how clearly we can articulate the outcome we want.
So if my prompts are vague or fuzzy,
You'll get vague or fuzzy results back, garbage in, garbage out, right? Clear articulation, honed through better internal and horizontal communication, is now a massive competitive advantage.
it's like the AI holds up a mirror to the clarity of our own thinking and communication. If you can't explain it clearly to the machine,
You probably don't understand it clearly yourself. Mastering communication with these tools is becoming essential for anyone who wants to thrive, not just survive, in this digital age. Those who struggle to be clear will get left behind.
okay, so how do we practice getting better at talking to, well, machines?
Precision practice. Here's the action item. Next time you use an AI tool, refine your request at least 3 times.
3 times. How?
Make each iteration more specific, clearer, and more focused on the exact result you need. So maybe your first prompt is just write a podcast intro. Okay, decent start.
Then the second try.
Might be write a conversational podcast intro about a white paper on communication. Better, more specific.
Then the third.
Write a conversational, enthusiastic podcast intro, under 100 words, for a deep dive based on Brent Ziemann's white paper about the 4 dimensions of communication, highlighting the core premise.
Yeah.
See, each step adds clarity, constraints, context.
Yeah, much more likely to get something useful back. Okay, so we've covered the 4 dimensions, 5 actionable tasks. Quite a lot there. The paper wraps up by suggesting 2 overarching practices that kind of boost everything simultaneously.
That's right. It boils down to 2 core habits that feed clarity across all dimensions. Simple but powerful. First, read more well-written books with good ideas.
Why reading specifically?
Because immersing yourself in rich language, well-structured arguments, and complex ideas. It literally sharpens your own thinking and vocabulary. You absorb clarity by exposing yourself to it. You can't communicate clearly if your thoughts are muddy, and good books clear the mud.
Makes sense. What's the second practice?
This one is about making the knowledge your own. Write more, but write your thoughts.
Not just summarizing what you read.
No, not just summarizing, reflecting. When you read something insightful, don't just highlight it. Take a moment to write down what it sparked in you. What connections did you make? How does it relate to your experience?
Ah, so it's that act of reflection and articulation that transforms borrowed ideas into your own usable insights.
Exactly. That's how external knowledge becomes internalized belief, informs your expectations, and actually changes how you operate. It completes the cycle.
Which brings us right back to that core transformation cycle from the paper, doesn't it? It all links together.
It really does. Your internal dialogue shapes your belief. That
Yeah.
belief shapes your expectation. Your expectation drives your action.
Mhm.
And your action is what ultimately transforms your outcomes. It's a continuous loop.
So level up your communication at any point in that cycle, especially internally. And you level up your entire life. Talk better, do better.
That's the core message. And the final thought the paper leaves us with is pretty potent. The words you use today, they are literally building the life you will live tomorrow.
Powerful stuff. If you want to explore Brent Ziemann's work further, maybe get the white paper, you can contact him directly. His number is 972-301-2878.
Or you can email him at getwisdomprinciple@gmail.com. And please do check out the sponsors who make these deep dives possible. You can find them at www.getwisdom.cc sponsors.
Thank you so much for listening and for, well, getting wisdom with us today.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. We will see you tomorrow right back here on the Get Wisdom podcast.